Hello and welcome to tip number 3 for this week's tips and support for mental health awareness week. Atai-Wiechert here of Energize Me, coming to you today with some suggestions as to how you can break through your fears in creative ways. So of course, if you have been paying attention to any of my posts, know a little bit about the kinds of work that I do, you will know that therapeutic art, meditation, things like that are part of the full picture of the coaching and therapy that I do. So what do I mean by breaking through fear with colour and shape? Well, I'd like you to think about something that currently worries you. So we're going to take an example and work through it. Now, if you don't have any materials with you, that's absolutely fine, because you can save this, and later on, if you've got some colouring pencils or some felt tips and some paper, you can do this in your own time later on. I'm going to take you through the process and see how you get on. So think of a fear. Think of something that you are afraid of, that plays on your mind, not just once in a while, but quite often. Something that niggles at you. You know, every so often it's coming through. Yesterday I was talking about clouds passing in the sky. Today we're going to approach this really quite differently. So I'm just going to go through my points on my piece of paper. I've made notes here so I don't miss anything. So if my eyes go that away, you know why. Okay, so you've thought of a fear. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that fear. You know you've got it on the screen of your mind. And I'd like you to imagine if that fear had a colour or colours. What would that look like? What kind of a colour is it? Is it a strong colour? Is it a wishy-washy colour? Is it something that is kind of gnarling? If you have some paper and some colouring pencils close at hand, why not grab them now? Have a look at what colours you have. See what you home in on as you think of that fear. Now, if that fear had a shape, what kind of a shape would it be? What kind of shape is appearing on the screen of your mind right now when you think of that fear? You're giving it a shape. And is the colour that you associated with that fear throughout that shape? And what's the density like? Is it very dense throughout or just in parts of that shape? Now, if that fear had a texture, what would that texture feel like? Is it rough? Slimy? Gritty? I'm just coming up with a few suggestions, but what does it feel like for you when you think of that fear, if you give it a texture? Now, as you imagine this and you express them on your paper, now remember, if you don't have that now, that's quite all right, but you can use this replay to go through these processes later on for yourself. Take a look at your creation, the colour, the shape, the texture. What does it look like on that piece of paper in front of you? Do you feel that you've really expressed it, given it what it looks and feels like? As you're looking at it, I'd like you to ask yourself, if that fear had an opposite, what would you say the opposite was? What would the opposite feel like? Meaning something good, something positive. Now, what about the colours, shape, texture of that opposite? Make a note of it, because whatever comes to mind right now is relevant. You might just make a note, write down on a piece of paper quickly what the fear represented in colour, shape and texture, what the opposite represents in colour, shape and texture. Now, once you have done that, I'd like you just to tear it up. Tear it into as many pieces as you want to. Whatever you feel you need to do in that moment. Because what we're doing is we're going to be breaking it up, breaking it down, tearing that fear into pieces. And we're going to create something new, something good, something positive. Now, this might all seem quite simplistic to you, but on a neurological level, it can be quite profound, especially when you really meditate on it, when you go within to connect with those feelings. Now, on a new sheet of paper, what I'd like you to do, what I suggest is, first of all, write down in words the opposite to that original fear. In words, put down the colours, the shape, the texture, and begin a new picture. Begin a new picture, starting with your torn up bits of paper. If you want, you might want to crumple them as well. And begin to create something new and wonderful and beautiful. Something uplifting and powerful and joyful, where you're then also going to add your new colours within this new shape or this new picture that you are creating, and whatever textures go with that. All of the new elements. And when you have finished, admire your new creation. Keep it close at hand. Keep it in a place that you can look at it often, knowing that through your fear can come creativity and beauty. So today's session has been a little bit longer than the other two this week, because I wanted to give you an exercise that you can do, which I absolutely know can be transformational. Transformational in a way that you can work through your emotions in this creative and therapeutic way. And you can do it with other emotions as well. Emotions where you feel that you've had too much of something, you want to break it down, break through and create new. So that's my tip number 3 for this week. Atai-Wiechert of Energize Me, coming to you for Mental Health Awareness Week 2022. See you tomorrow at 1 o'clock again. Bye for now.